is Sarai Ajai. Today is April 7, 2017, and I am recording the second segment documentary about identity theft. The time is 8:34 a.m. and good morning. I'm going to go back in time in 2005 in a traffic court violation that I was scheduled to attend in Cook County, Illinois. Usually in a traffic violation, there's hundreds of people scheduled for their day in court. Well, in this particular incident, there was an empty court. And I had sat down. There were two women there with children. They sat on the opposite side of each other. If there's a middle aisle, they were sitting basically on the same row, but on the opposite side of each other. One on the left, the other on the right. I sat and waited till the judge called my name. I went up to the judge. He had my official identification, driver's license. He looked at me, and he looked at the driver's license. He looked at me and looked at the driver's license. And I'm going to quote verbatim what he said. He said, "Here, my dear, you may go." He looked at the two Caucasian law enforcement officers on the right side of me, and I'm quoting verbatim, "I see you at your tricks again." The judge never mentioned why I was there, that I was a victim of identity theft. As I proceeded out of the courtroom, I had noticed about 50 or 40 officers, law enforcement officers, men and women in uniform, some sporadically without uniforms, spontaneously just looked at me. I am petrified at this point, nervous. I don't know what's going on. And I was naive. No one ever told me that I was a victim of identity theft. Now, I'm going to roll it forward to 2011. I lost everything at this point. They forged my home away with a fraudulent foreclosure. They put a lien on my house I never received, so who signed it? I did have equity in the home, so who got the proceeds? Hold that thought. We're going to get back to that on another day. In April of 2012, near the end of the month, I purchased tickets in Cinema 6 on Ogden in Naperville, Illinois to see Mirror Mirror. There was a white Caucasian male with a female while I was waiting for them to open the door in the theater. And he started speaking, looking at me, standing in the hall of the door of the theater. He said, "I was personating you as a police officer since 2004, which makes sense because I've had problems starting in the fourth quarter of 2004. I did not know Richard, never laid my eyes on Richard until that day. He said he was personating me and he lost his job recently. That's how long he's been impersonating me. I never applied for any law enforcement positions, even today. As a matter of fact, because of my age, I'm not qualified. But he was working as me in uniform. He kept speaking that he knew people, and just because he was not in uniform, he can still get a hold of the system. He didn't mention what system it was. He could still manipulate that system, even though he was no longer in uniform. The theater employees opened up the theater for Mirror Mirror. Everyone went in, and I sat near the exit of the door where we entered, and they sat on the opposite side. So I sat on the left, they sat on the right. And through the movie, the beginning of the movie, he spoke. I think I sat there for about 15 minutes or 20 minutes listening to him confessing that he was in pornography and what they were going to do to my grandchildren. I'm crying. He said I would not leave this theater. There were people here with him, and they were going to jump me in this theater. And that's when I got up and left. In 2013, the summer 2013, under my new information, I found out in Naperville, waiting to take the Metro train back to Willowbrook, Illinois, to my apartment, some guy stood next to me, and he had indicated that there were 4 or 5 law enforcement working in Aurora under my paperwork, Illinois. And I'm trying to figure out, how did they pass the background check? And they pretending that I am a male and I'm being harassed, stalked, followed. And threatened. They did something recently that caused me to start this video, and I will get into that in a few segments ahead. But I never worked in law enforcement. I never worked at the United States Postal Service. I never worked for the federal government. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm being overwhelmed with people and their personal issues that have no connections to me. They have their own citizenship, social security number, state, Illinois, driver's license, an identification card, even other states. So why are they on my paperwork? Why couldn't Richard get hired under his own paperwork? Or these officers that claim that they're working in Aurora under my paperwork? Why me? Why am I bombarded and overwhelmed with people's psychological problems? I have no connections to it. Just keep that in mind in the next segment. Have a good day.